Imagine this. Governments keep telling you Bitcoin is dangerous, volatile, speculative, risky. But behind the scenes, some of them are quietly accumulating it. Why? Because they know, when the old financial system starts to fall, they'll need a new kind of asset, and Bitcoin might be the next global reserve. Let's uncover the 5 countries quietly preparing for a Bitcoin-powered future. 1. El Salvador, the pioneer. In 2021, El Salvador became the first country in the world to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. At the time, most of the world laughed. The IMF warned them. Global media mocked them. But President Nayib Bukele doubled down. He started using public funds to buy Bitcoin, especially during dips. He even tweeted every purchase, turning the country's wallet into public record. They've reportedly bought over 2,800 BTC, worth over $150 million at peak prices. That's not small for a developing country, but that's not all. El Salvador is building Bitcoin City, a tax-free, crypto-powered city funded by volcano bonds. They're planning to mine Bitcoin using geothermal energy from volcanoes, 100% renewable. Bukele isn't just stacking sats. He's betting the country's economic future on decentralized finance. Critics say it's reckless. Supporters say he's playing decades ahead. 2. Venezuela, surviving hyperinflation. Now let's talk about Venezuela, a country where the bolivar has lost over 99% of its value in the last decade. Hyperinflation in Venezuela reached 10 million% at its peak. Cash became worthless overnight. What did people do? They turned to Bitcoin and USDT. Crypto became survival. But not just the people. Venezuelan officials and institutions began using crypto to bypass US sanctions and fund operations. Even the government created a token, the Petro, although it failed to gain traction. However, leaked documents and multiple reports suggest that behind the scenes, state actors use Bitcoin to store and transfer wealth outside the global banking system. Because with Bitcoin, they don't need SWIFT. They don't need permission. They only need a private key. 3. Iran, mining to survive sanctions. Let's head to the Middle East. Iran. Since 2010, Iran has faced crippling US and EU sanctions. They've been cut off from the international banking system. SWIFT banned. Dollar access restricted. But in 2019, Iran made a bold move. They legalized Bitcoin mining. The government created a system where licensed miners get subsidized electricity, but must sell their BTC directly to the state. By 2021, Iran was responsible for nearly 4.5% of global Bitcoin mining hash rate. That's huge. Iran then used Bitcoin to pay for imports from China, Turkey, and others, bypassing traditional finance, bypassing US control. Some reports estimate the Iranian government holds over 1 billion worth of BTC, directly or indirectly. For Iran, Bitcoin isn't an investment. It's economic survival. 4. Russia, the strategic giant. Now we talk about a superpower, Russia. Publicly, Russia has been skeptical of crypto, but the war in Ukraine changed everything. After being removed from SWIFT in 2022, facing sanctions on trade, tech, and finance, Russia began exploring crypto alternatives for global trade. The Central Bank of Russia, once anti-crypto, started discussing legalizing international settlements in Bitcoin. The Energy Ministry approved BTC mining in Siberia, where excess hydroelectric power makes it highly profitable, and some insiders believe Russia is building state-backed mining farms to accumulate Bitcoin for reserves. Why? Because Bitcoin isn't controlled by NATO, the US, or the EU. It's neutral ground. Whether they say it or not, Russia seems to be using Bitcoin as a hedge against financial war. 5. The silent accumulators. Now here's the real twist. Our country's not publicly holding Bitcoin, but very likely accumulating it in silence. Let's start with China. China banned Bitcoin mining in 2021. But did you know? Over 20% of global Bitcoin hash rate still comes from China. Miners simply went underground. And state-linked companies are still developing blockchain infrastructure for cross-border payment systems. Then there's Turkey, where inflation crossed 85%. People there rushed to crypto, and it wouldn't be surprising if state actors started storing BTC to escape the lira's collapse. Nigeria, Kenya, and Argentina also show extremely high crypto adoption rates. What happens when their central banks stop fighting it and start using it? And let's not forget BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, now inviting Iran, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. If they ever move away from the dollar, Bitcoin might be the only neutral bridge they can agree on. Conclusion: why it all matters. So what do these countries know that most people don't? They know that fiat money is dying. They know that sanctions can freeze their assets in seconds. And they know that whoever controls money controls power. Bitcoin isn't just for retail investors anymore. It's becoming a geopolitical tool. They won't tell you they're buying. They won't warn you. They'll just accumulate quietly, while the world mocks, sleeps, and scrolls TikTok. By the time the truth becomes obvious, they'll already own the digital gold of the 21st century. The only question is, will you? Let us know. Do you think governments are secretly stacking Bitcoin? Subscribe if you want to stay 10 steps ahead in the crypto world. Because in this game, the early ones win.